You're watching Chili Boy Productions. I'm Larry Chili Boy Chilson, and this is my review for The Killer. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. The Killer is a 2023 dramatic thriller from director David Fincher, starring Michael Fassbender. Solitary, cold, methodical, and unencumbered by scruples or regrets, a killer waltzes in the shadows, watching for his next target. Yet, the longer he waits, the more he thinks he's losing his mind, if not his cool. The Killers releases into select theaters on October 27th before hitting Netflix November 10th. So, anytime David Fincher releases a new film, of course, anybody who's into film gets pretty excited. He's a legend in the business and always brings some type of unique perspective into any film he makes. Now, whether it turns out to actually be great, like his potential warrants, or a bit of a dud, I can't help but always look forward to a new David Fincher flick. Add Michael Fassbender as a killer into the mix, and yeah, I'm excited. So thank you to Netflix for hosting this advanced screening so I could see this in a movie theater before it hit the streaming service. Now, unfortunately, I left The Killer feeling unmoved. Just as cold as The Killer's latest target. Not bad by any means, but it left me wanting for much more. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. For me, the biggest positive was the editing, whether it was the film editing or the sound editing, the sound mix itself. I thought the editing was fantastic in this film. Honestly, the sound is some of the best I've experienced in film 2023. The usage of sound and music, the in world ambiance versus the perspective of an outside viewer. Oh, it was so well done. And the film editing itself was so well done. Title cards are generally something that I'm pretty mixed to negative on, but these small title cards that are used here actually worked very well. And I knew we were in for a top tier editing class when the film starts with these crazy opening credits that just took me by complete surprise. Honestly, the film itself took me by complete surprise with the first act. That opening act to The Killer is fantastic. It had me gripped, glued to the screen, really anxious to see where we took things. The cold approach works so well for the opening of this film, with just that hint of awareness when it comes to Michael Fassbender's character. Couple that with the amazing editing, the entertaining script itself, and I was hooked to begin this film. And really, all aspects of filmmaking as a craft are well done. The cinematography is very nice. David Fincher brings his usual directorial flair here. It looks great. It's a well mounted film. And Michael Fassbender is great in our central performance. It's a very stoic, but deeper performance that I thought he brought a lot to. Plus, we do get some good action set pieces here, though they are few and far between. Particularly, there are two great sequences. One having to deal with a man in Florida, the other having to deal with a lawyer in his office that were wonderful. And the film does a good job of ramping up tension as we build up to certain events. The entire first act just had me like holding my breath, waiting, looking over every corner. That dissipates, but then they're able to reintroduce that high tension for the audience each time we start inching closer to a new target. So then, what doesn't work so well when it comes to The Killer? Well, it's too clinical. It is too sterilized, too methodical. The screenplay itself repeats itself quite often, tells you have to be very patient, wait a long time, And it seems like David Fincher is preparing the audience for the film that is to come. If you were going to be this methodical and this sterile in the procedural aspect of what's being depicted in a film like this, I have to care somewhere, and I just didn't. And that's by design. We don't even get a name for Michael Fassbender's killer here. We don't know who he is or anything about him. He has a catalyst that sends him on this kind of action, but let me just tell you, it's no John Wick getting vengeance for his dog. The catalyst is very weak because we don't care about the event that happens. We don't care about Fassbender. We don't care about the mission at all. We only care to watch this methodical killer work through. And thankfully, the film is under 2 hours long. However, that's still too long. If you're going to have a film like this that is just going to put us in this very sterile, cold environment where we're here to just kind of experience a killer trying to work through events and work through a list, I think this needs to be a lean hour and 30 minutes. Instead, we're pushing 2 hours, and that is too much time because my mind was wandering. We get a lot of shots of Michael Fassbender sitting in his car, planning things out, just kind of staring, doing his yoga, and they happen over and over and over again. And it's very much intentional. However, as an audience member, there's nothing to kind of keep my interest hooked in to the story that's being told. So when I just kind of see this going over and over and over again, my mind was definitely wandering throughout a decent amount of the film, unfortunately. We also have Tilda Swinton here, who she herself is great. I loved her monologue that she gets, but woo, is she underutilized. So if you're coming in for Tilda Swinton, just know it's pretty much a cameo. So overall, the killer just lacked any sort of anchor. It lacked any sort of emotional resonance or emotional interest, really, to keep me hooked in. It accomplishes its mission of being a very clinical film, a very methodical film, a very sterile film. Unfortunately, I just think it takes all of that too far to the point where I don't have a vested interest any which way in what's happening. And it takes too long to get to points of interest within this unattached story that I left feeling like, yeah, it was a well crafted film, just one that left a lot of opportunity still on the table. For the technical aspects, if you have the chance to see The Killer in a movie theater, I say give it a matinee. This is not a full price movie. This does not need to be seen prime time of night. Watch it on a discount Tuesday or a nice weekend matinee. However, honestly, outside of the technical aspects, I think The Killer is a great film for Netflix. It's certainly better than the majority of action films released to Netflix, and I think it would be a movie best served watching while you have a little bit of distraction to keep you going through the mini lulls. So that is my review for The Killer. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see The Killer? Let me know all of your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.